cha. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to CCS R6W. This is week number 7. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name, Ty Tangles. Joining me tonight, the man that helped me kick the season off. Welcome back, Mr. Azaraki. How's it going?
It's going well. I am finally moved into my new apartment.
Hey-yo.
Finally got started at my job. All of that stuff is over and done with. I'm settled in, and now I can finally get back into casting.
Well, I hope that the job is not over and done with.
Well, that's a good point. But I'm settled into my job, so
Good.
That's what counts.
Good. Well, welcome back, my friend. Let me make sure we get your audio level adjusted here. And welcome to all of you out there. Sorry for the delay. We had a little bit of a technical thing that we had to deal with, but we're here now. We've got 4 exciting matchups right in front of all of us. Let's go ahead and have a look at that schedule for tonight. And it looks like 8K versus Victoria's Secret will be the first matchup of the night, followed Team Sinister Red, Slaughterhouse. After that will be Disrupt Gaming, Powerhouse Mischief, and finally Axios Esports taking on Queen YOLO Mid. All of these will be a best of 1. So we'll have 4 exciting best of 1 matches. Of course, the 2 missing teams playing on an off-stream match, which will be available along with all the VODs from these broadcasts as well on our YouTube channel very shortly after the games are concluded on youtube.com/CCS Esports. But Mr. Azaraki, what have you been doing besides moving in the off time? Have you been doing any casting? I heard that you have.
Did you? Because I
did.
I haven't, unfortunately.
Really?
I haven't really done casting. Nope.
You've just straight up life getting in the way, huh?
Yeah, just completely life. A lot of complications with moving. So, unfortunately, that took a lot longer than I hoped it would. But that's all in the past now, and I'm ready to get right into it.
Good. Well, I know that everybody's chomping at the bit since we had a little bit of a late start on getting these matchups started. So let's have a look at the starting lineup tonight for our first matchup of the evening. That'll be 8K Gaming taking on Victoria's Secret. And would you lead Mr. Azaraki, if you don't mind, us into the starting lineup for 8K?
Yep, 8K is going to be sporting Marmalade, Ninarin, Shailene, Monster Girl, and Zercut.
Yes, and just had the opportunity prior to the match starting to speak with a member of each of these teams. And on the side of 8K Gaming, we're missing somebody notable that we had been talking about in weeks prior very prominently because of her fun-to-say name, and that was Vawasa Wapter, not present in the 8K lineup today, instead being replaced by Shy, or Shailene, like you said. She has been a long-time substitute of this roster, and because Raptors work changing her schedule, her inability to scrim has led to this change on the starting lineup. Of course, there's no bad blood between anybody. We know, just like with Mr. Azaraki and his move, that life happens, and sometimes you've got to, pick other things over gaming. We've all been there. So, but they're feeling very confident with this new addition to the starting roster tonight. And why don't you lead us, Mr. Azaraki, into the starting lineup for the other side of the board, Victoria's Secret?
Yeah, Victoria's Secret, they're going to be sporting Rachel Boo, that one Brit, Little Lexi, Just Breezy, and Sketch.
Yes, so no changes on that side of the board. I got to speak with Britt prior to the match as well, saying, okay, listen, you're in 4th place, and we'll have a look at the standings here in just a moment. Actually, let's have a look at the standings right now because we've read that. So let's have a look at this because what I'm going to talk about ties into the standings as we sit. So top 4 this season are safe. They progress into the playoffs where really anything can happen because you win, you move on. If you lose, you go home. Well, technically, I think there is a match for 3rd place if you do win the semifinal. But either way, Britt was like, listen, we're all, and by we all, we mean 2, 3, and 4th place are all 4 and 2 right now. It's just a round differential that's kind of making the difference as it sits. So as far as they see it, it's basically not only a 3-way tie for 2nd place right now, but they are very confident that at the end of this play day that they will be firmly in 2nd place. And a lot of confidence coming from that side of the board. I talked to her a little bit about the preparation stuff as I do with all the teams, and she mentioned that, they really don't scrim that much, but they don't see that as a detriment to them because they think that their ability to adapt on the fly is very important. So they don't put a lot of stock into having an analyst do counterintelligence on the other team because they like to have that fluidity. And so far, it's been working out really well for them, right? They're 4-2. Lastly, I had to say this because I asked her, I said, is there anything, that I didn't mention or that you'd like the world to know about? And she goes, we're the best, and Rachel Boo has over 500 hours on Twitch, so watch out. And that is a quote, ladies and gentlemen. That one, Brit, Victoria's Secret. So let's go ahead, and I think if the bands are ready, we will have a look at them. And as a matter of fact, I need to get that set up here. So, Azaraki, with the standings on your screen right now, obviously Victoria's Secret sitting in 4th, 8K not very far away in 6th place, only a one-round differential, or only one win differential, I should say, but the round's pretty close on both of these teams, would you say?
Yeah, and 8K, again, is just one game away from matching Victoria's Secret in terms of the standings. So if they manage to take this one, then they'll also be in that sort of big tie situation up there, just so long as Queen Yolamid or Disrupt do not pull out a victory themselves. But yeah, as we get down to the latter stages of the season, it's really interesting to see which teams ended up coming out on top and which teams have started falling behind. Of course, with a 10-team league with 4 playoff spots, it's really like these teams have to gun for it. That's a pretty narrow selection of teams that can go to playoffs. So
right.
We're going to start seeing more strats and more strats. And one thing you were talking about regarding playing more on the fly and not relying too much on an analyst, that can sometimes, like I've seen situations where sometimes teams get too focused on doing strats.
Right.
And when the opponents toss something out that is just completely weird, a lot of times, if you are so focused on playing strats, you don't really have anything to counter that, and you haven't practiced playing that fast and loose style that can adapt really quickly.
Absolutely. So it looks like Cafe we will be going to, which Victoria's Secret has played before. I'm not sure if 8K has at all. I do not believe that they have. And when I was talking with Zerkit prior to the game starting, she said that, not only did they have a lot of practice and information on Victoria's Secret, but specifically on Cafe, because Victoria's Secret were able to get the win last time we saw them on stream on Cafe. It was a pretty hefty win at that. So she said that the team identified some things that Victoria's Secret did wrong. The real question is here with Britt saying, we didn't really run strats. We just kind of did what felt right. Is that intel, like you were saying, and kind of tying into what you were saying, is that going to come back to bite them? Because if they go in and Victoria's Secret are doing something that maybe was unexpected by 8K, can they rally and figure out a way to win? Either way, I just need to figure out where my clean feed is so I can determine, are there 10 people in the game? There it is. Are there 10 people in the game yet, Mr. Azaraki?
Absolutely. We are all ready and set to get into the match.
Perfect. Well, let me get this set up as well. Of course, me having to produce simultaneously with actually doing the stream here and hoping my computer isn't exploding right now. Just got to get a couple more things set up. Any predictions? I mean, it's a close, as far as the standings are concerned, these are two close teams, right? There's some names maybe on one team that are a little bit more publicly known. Is that going to come into play as far as nervousness, stuff like that? What do you think?
I think at this stage in the season, I don't think those sorts of nerves are going to be here all that much. When it's a new season, everyone only knows each other by how big each name is and how much experience they have. Mm-hmm. But we're 7 weeks in. These teams have had plenty of time to watch footage of each other and basically scope each other out. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a mind game on the side of, this player is a really high caliber player.
Right.
One thing I do want to mention is that Victoria's Secret are on a win streak. I believe, let's see, three-game win streak. And that momentum could potentially carry them even further. So I think if I had to lean in any direction, I might say Victoria's Secret.
I think it's going to be a close match. And I think that as far as preparation is concerned, I think 8K's definitely got that in their corner right now. It all goes back to, can they rely on also making changes? I think they certainly have the ability to, which is why they found success thus far. They do have the new addition of Shy, of course, in play. That's something to contend with, although she's been a member of the team as a sub for a long time. So there's not a innate newness to what they have to do. But either way, we're going to get the R's going, and we're going to get this game started. So we match number 1 of the day getting underway here. Again, we're sorry for the delay and taking so long to get started, as we had a couple of technical issues to work through. And just as I say that, here we go. Map number 1 will be Cafe, and it is getting underway right now.
Yep, and taking a look at some of the bans, this is, of course, Cafe. So in terms of defense, Maestro, I think, is definitely going to be banned. He's so incredibly strong on this map. In terms of offense, you have a little bit more wiggle room. Of course, Capitao is still one of those super contested picks, so that might be one of them. But we're going to see a Thatcher. So in this map, Thatcher does throw a wrench in a couple of defenses, but I think being one of the more recently reworked maps, I think there are plenty of situations where you can set up a defensive site in a way that doesn't rely on... Or you can set up an offensive strat in a way that doesn't rely on a Thatcher. There's a lot of breakable floors. There's a lot of different angles that you can pull.
Yeah, there is. So we'll see the Capitao go. We'll see the Mirror go. Nothing crazy thus far. And like you said, Maestro also very strong on this map, as is Echo. I think they're interchangeable. And we've seen, of course, the Doc get banned out here in R6W. We'll see the Echo get banned out. And I think that's a little bit more common than a Maestro. Upstairs, what I like to call the Maestro spot is typically what we see, at least in R6W, right? It could be different in other places. But Echo, 2 yokai drones, you really, I think, since you have the ability to kind of move that camera that has an effect on an enemy team around, maybe puts them a little bit ahead, especially when you're talking about players that, like Victoria's Secret, that aren't scrimming every single day, and maybe they're just more comfortable with them overall. I mean, just speculate, right? Either way, it doesn't matter what the reason is. Echo is gone. Maestro's on the board, but Maestro won't get picked unless the 6th pick happens, and it won't. It'll be a Bandit to a Valk. So Rook will be the lone ACOGger brought out by the defense here, as 8K will defend first.
It's really surprising that a team would pick a Rook over a Maestro, because Rook, while his plates are pretty useful and they prevent someone from immediately dying, they go into the down but not out state unless they get headshot. It's still one of those situations where the sheer potential that Maestro has, given his utility, the utility in his Evil Eyes, the information they give, the secondary shotgun pistol that he has that can break open floors and break open walls, those are so many advantages that a Capitao would have. The only thing I can really think of is just being super comfortable on the MP5 is the only real reason I can think of to run a Rook there.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, bear with us for just 1 second, as I am attempting to produce and cast at the same time. I just want to make sure I get in sync with my co-caster so he's not calling things into the future. I'm at 50 right now, 49, 48, 47. Just want to give him a call out so we can kind of get in sync a little bit. And here we go. Round number 1 getting started, getting underway as Victoria's Secret now wraps around the building. We got Marmalade, who has been an absolute terror on this Jaeger for 8K thus far. And Britt actually brought her up and said that they seriously considered actually banning Jaeger when they played 8K Gaming, but they didn't want to shoot themselves in the foot because not having a Jaeger is kind of a big deal, for every team. It's so, the utility's there, the gun, the ability to put that in your team's fragger's hands in order to do work, especially on a map like Cafe, where the roam game, especially like the late roam, like the late rotate roam, and the kind of send some bullets at the enemy and then dip back down to waste some time. Jaeger is kind of that operator to do that.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, one of the reasons why Jaeger is so contentious and why it's such a detriment to ban him out is because he is the only person in the game still who can reliably destroy grenades and any projectiles that the attackers are going to throw. For a bunch of other roles like Breach Denial, we can pick Kaid, we can pick Mute, we can pick Bandit, we can pick 2 of them if we want. But Jaeger is the only one who does his job, and that's why he's super strong. So Marmalade's going to see one, but not quite going to be able to land a shot. He's going to back off and play a little bit safer. Meanwhile, Rachel is going to actually take Marmalade out when she was rotating back to site. Really good communication there by the offense, and I love seeing teams hold separate angles and basically cover each other, force someone back, and have someone else cut off the rotation.
Yeah, Nini not phased at all by the drone. Will keep her angle, decide to finally rotate and find little Lexi trying to close in on her. Very well timed by Nini, but also very well aimed. She'll get a hit by one of the Twitch drone shots and will decide to rotate further back, losing about half of her health in the entire engagement, but that's 2 minutes and 15 seconds off the board. Sure, it's 4-4. Sure, Marmalade, who we talked about being excellent on that Jaeger's off the board, but now it's on the attackers to really have to push the site with not a lot of time to clear their angles as they move on to said site. And we've got a couple from the defense set up and ready to go. Rachel Boo will come around the corner, get the shot off first, but not connect. Be forced to rotate elsewhere. And now most of the attacking squad still a floor away from sight. Only about 15 seconds left. It's going to be a bloodbath as we typically see when everybody has to push at once. But Breezy will find the first, get the knife, and escape just in time for Zerka to miss. But Scott Shy, the newcomer, she'll get a refrag. Rachel Boo and Breezy will get each one of their own. And just like that, only Monster Girl left. So C4 in hand, throws it out, will not connect. And the diffuser will successfully get planted. So now Monster Girl in a 1v3. It wasn't looking good for Victoria's Secret, but winning your gunfights will get the job done every time, and that's exactly what they did. Can Monster Girl make something happen here? She won't. She'll peek in back to Breezy, and Breezy with a 3K on the round will seal the deal for Victoria's Secret here in round 1.
Yeah, Victorious, when it came down to the wire and they were starting to run out of time, they actually executed incredibly well, and a lot of that comes down to, again, those situations where they held different angles, they were able to cover each other, they could refrag. If one of them forced a defender back, another person was there ready to cut off the rotation. Again, I have to shout that out from Victorious because that absolutely won the round there. And other than getting into those situations in the first place, I think the defense from 8K actually played very well. They did a lot of what they were supposed to. They stalled for time. They played the vertical game. As we saw, Victorious were stuck on the second floor for an incredibly long time, almost 2 minutes, just trying to take out the second floor defenders. And a lot of them rotated down and got back to site even. So at the end of the day, that one did come down a lot to those gun battles and to the attackers holding angles. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the defenders could have done better there, other than something that's not really too good advice of just, hey, shoot better.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's the thing is I was concerned with Victoria's Secret, like from our perspective, there could have been others, and I think that there might have been a lot closer to sight, where we saw, like, with 20 seconds left, Buck, like, getting the ceiling opened up, right? And holding an angle. Of course, in the end, that ended up being, like, Buck's position to cover the plant. It just kind of looked in the moment like it was, oh my gosh, they're all off site. What are they going to do? And in these situations, and we see it often at any level, right, where they just not able as attackers to clear enough room to get really in the position that they want to right next to site or around site. And from our perspective, it looked like that was going to be the case. But Victoria's Secret cleared out what they needed to clear out and were able to successfully win the gunfights to get onto site, get that diffuser down, and played a fantastic post-game or post-plant scenario with the crossfire set up. So good on them, winning round number 1. And again, remember, I'll go back to the fact that 8K was comfortable with this map pick, seeing that, you know, Victorious had played there, had kind of found some openings in the way that Victoria's Secret played it. But when you're doing counters, right, or you're working off of intel on another team, it's typically the defense because of the way that they set it up. On attack, they can change things up. And Marmalade through the ceiling. Sketchopotamus just opening up that hole will get a beautiful shot. She'll lose about 3/4 of her health in the process, but she will get her opening kill of this matchup. And hopefully, for Victoria's Secret's sake, that doesn't get her started on her typical kill frenzy that she does for 8K.
And as Ty mentioned earlier, that's a very important kill too, because the Buck last round was really important in securing the plant and making sure they were able to get it. Ooh, are we going to see a vault over the wall? Mini Rennie is right here ready to pick it up, but they know where she is. Going to try to back off, pre-firing the stairs. Concussion grenades go out. Little Lexi going to kill Marmalade on the other side of the map, but right now, Breezy has Nini Ren locked down. There's nowhere she can go. Sees the hip, not going to be able to get the kill, however. Nini Ren runs into Rachel Boo's bullets off of the rotate, and again, the attackers just flushing people out and holding the crossfires.
Yeah, that was a beautiful play. Like, if you don't get the kill, no big deal. You flush her out into a crossfire. She goes down. And guess what? We didn't see any health loss from either one of the players that participated in that kill. Zerkit, though, she'll fire right back, bringing it to a 3v3. Still a minute left. A lot of time on the clock for the attacking squad, and a lot more map control at this point in the map, I think, here for Victoria's Secret, as the roam game has been shut down already by Victoria's Secret. So they will have time to play around with as they kind of work their way towards site. That one, Britt, putting a exothermic charge on the wall will actually get mute jammed. However, the Bandit nowhere in sight to kind of try and destroy it. So she'll try a couple more spots on the wall, but looking as that mute jam is placed in the center, looks like it will deny it from everywhere. And just like I say, from up top, the mute jammer will get destroyed. The impact will go out, but not stop the thermite charge from going off. So they are now into the closet, but only 17 seconds left to play with. And we are down to the wire yet again. Still 3 people on both sides. Little Lexi comes around the corner, though. We'll find Shy's head. She'll find 2. Monster Girl refrags right back, but she's now in a 1vx situation again with the mute. Looks like the diffuser will go down successfully. That one, Britt, 2 for 2 on the diffuse plant. The C4 comes out and over, but will not connect. Little Lexi a little bit on the weak side will close things out. A 3K for her, and a beautiful job by Victoria's Secret. The team play we saw all round long to get the job done. And I'll tell you what, on the side of 8K, I don't see a lot of things wrong either. It's just at the end of the day, I guess somebody's got to win. And Victoria's Secret in those closing gun battles, just getting the better end of the deal.
Yeah, Victoria's showing that they are so comfortable in those last seconds of a round. When it comes down to executing, they hit heads. And as we saw little Lexi do there, she got 3 of them at the end, able to secure the entire round. And at this point, even though there's nothing that AK is necessarily doing wrong on their defense, you know, they're not giving up a lot of ground for free. They're actually stalling for time really well. They're getting trades, they're getting refrags. The one thing I have to say is that playing a more normal strategy here might not end up working because, again, Victorious are so good at those closing seconds of a round. What I want to see is I want to see 8K make an adaptation, and it's a hard one to think of because it's not one of those situations where it's like, oh, we're getting killed by this operator, let's bring this, or we're making this big mistake on our defenses. They just have to outplay Victorious, and I think the key to do that is to play more aggressive on their defense. Don't let Victorious get into those last few seconds where they are setting up their full execute. See if you can try to disrupt them even earlier than that. You know, they were having a pretty good success with some of their roamers, but I think they should honestly even double down on that.
Yeah, another thing that 8K had kind of as a fallback plan if things weren't working out so well in the past is Marmalade, right? Marmalade, we've seen her drop 19 kills in a game. A game that, like, not even an overtime game, by the way. We've seen her frag out, and very consistently too. So to see her here with so few kills is kind of one of the issues that I'm seeing. Another thing for 8K is the refrags just aren't there. Victoria's Secret has put them in very precarious situations into their crossfires, and when they've lost somebody, they've typically been there to refrag. 8K, not so much. Although, you know, on defense, if you're roaming and your roamers are spread out, it's more difficult of a scenario. So from 8K, I think the main change that I'd like to see from them, if the roam game isn't doing what they hope that it would do, which is waste time and maybe get a pick or two, then maybe a turtle scenario for 8K might be in the cards for the future. But we're only 2 rounds deep. There's still a lot of Siege left to be played. A lot of things can happen at this stage. And 8K will return back to the top floor, which some would consider the most preferable site to try and hold out here against Victorious.
It's definitely good to see they didn't try to 3 sites, or the same site 3 times in a row. Marmalade actually gets the first pick off of a run out, and she's actually just going to be able to make it back into the building. It doesn't look like there are any attackers down on the first floor to catch her out, so that's just going to be a free kill and no refrag on a run out. Those are generally the times where you want to be able to refrag, and the fact that they didn't is a good sign for 8K. They still have, they're still in the driver's seat, but again, Victorious have been showing off some incredible gun skills, so it's going to be pretty tough for them to close out the round here. As Sketchopotamus is waiting to see if she can catch someone else off on the rotate. This is, again, one of the things that we've seen Victorious do very well at. They know the Legion's in here, and they're trying to flush him out. Oh, just barely going to be able to get the kill there as Sketchopotamus takes him down. That leaves us with a 3v4 in favor of Victorious now.
Yes, indeed. So, just sorry, getting some feedback on the sound here. We'll try and get that fixed for you here ASAP. Great job there. I'm not sure what drove the Legion out of the pixel spot because I saw there was an ADS there, but unbelievable job rushing in, getting the kill. Nobody in Whitehall to kind of help the backside. We had Legion kind of packed into the bathroom there with not a lot that she could do at that point in time. So here comes the plant now going down by that one Brit, but this time it will get stopped. Monster Girl will kill her during the plant, and now the diffuser is a little bit exposed. Little Lexi will come around the corner, but the shotgun will not reach out far enough. Sketchopotamus will pick up the kill. Nini Rin will refrag. Rachel Boo will find one. It's now a 1vx again, but Nini will bring it to a 1v1. And now 8K looking in great shape as Rachel Boo having to come all the way up the stairs. Diffuser not in hand. I'm not sure if Nini knows where the diffuser is, but she is on the other side of the wall to get those sound cues. And now she gets the ping cues as well. Rachel Boo will pick it up and swing back around the other way and catch Nini Rin by surprise. A fast and furious play by Rachel Boo will pay off, and Victoria's Secret on attack remains perfect.
Yeah, Rachel Boo knew that she couldn't try to go for a plant because that would have spelled the entire round for them. So instead, she decides to rush. Very good decision there. On the side of Nini Ren, unfortunately, the big mistake she did there is that even though her team had a lot of information, all she really needed to do was dance between the doorways, but she actually pushed all the way back into the corner so that she wasn't close enough to the doorway itself. So when her teammates pinged and called out the fact that that Rachel was rushing around the corner, she couldn't actually make it through the doorway in time and basically just ran right into her sights. So that is one of the main issues in that clutch. But I do want to go back and talk about the rest of the round in general, because one thing I've been noticing from 8K, and you sort of brought it up as well, is that when they are playing these roam games, they're not really helping each other much. We saw Nini Ren when she was caught out in or when she was pinned down, rather, in dining. She was pinned for a good 30 seconds, and there was no other member of the team going around to try to bail her out or to try to get a refrag or anything like that. She just ended up getting squeezed out after 30 seconds. And that is a good amount of time to buy, but if you can take another defender, bring them up there, and make it either a trade or even a kill for nothing, then you're honestly in a very good spot. And I haven't really seen them do that, especially not in the last round as well, as Shailene we saw caught out in this bathroom here. She got flushed out, but no one came around to help, like Ty mentioned.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret, what a play at the end there by Rachel Boo. I can't understate what a play that was, because not only did she have to make the noise to get the diffuser, because Nini was set up in a position where she could hear that for sure. Whether or not she knew the diffuser was there, even if she didn't, like the ancillary effect of being that close to the diffuser, she was going to hear it. Then we saw the that was interesting. That was an interesting sound. Either way, sorry. Either way, we then saw the ping start coming out onto, but she just sprinted all the way around and still caught Nini off guard. So good on them. Victoria's Secret now up 3-0. And yeah, sorry about that. I'm just working on some audio issues that I'm getting some feedback on right now, Az.
That is perfectly fine. It is very important to have a good audio stream. Now, looking at this round, we do see another top floor defense, and so it seems like 8K are basically trying everything twice, and if it doesn't work out, they will end up going to a different site. But they definitely need to try to find some sort of footing on their defense. And again, they have been playing pretty safe this entire time. So far, they haven't tried basically doubling down on the aggression, taking your roamers and having them be aggressive, but also having other members of the team flank around to help them out. Marmalade gets the first kill on Little Lexi, but all of these first picks that Marmalade has been getting have not been translating into wins. And that is the most important issue that 8K are facing right now.
Yeah,
so
she's gotten some opening kills, and this actually is the first multi-kill we've seen from her. But not only that, but she took out Little Lexi, who's been having an excellent game. Many multi-kills from Little Lexi coming out so far. And just like that, it is 2. Make that 3 off the board for Victoria's Secret, and 8K winning their gunfights. It looks like Victoria's Secret starting to kind of push the side a little bit quicker this time around. And 8K's making a little bit of an adjustment, pushing up a little bit more into their face as they make their presence at the top of stairs known and begin their push. And they're kind of paying for it. Now it's a 2v5. There's still plenty of time for the attacking squad to do something, but they... and by they, I mean 8K, they just haven't been giving any lives away. Marmalade, she'll find her 3rd of the round under Rachel Boo, and now it's only up to Brit. Diffuser in hand, having to find a perfect ace to win it all. Marmalade will trade some shots with her, but will be the only one to take damage in the exchange. That one, Britt firing back, just covering her behind. Take a little bit of damage. C4 will go off underneath. Not do any damage as well. We'll have Marmalade laying down in the pixel spot, finding the last one, and a 4K onto that one. Britt, and 8K after losing 3 straight, will find a flawless round to bring one back.
Yeah, and that was a really good round by 8K, but I am sort of wondering what went through the minds of Victoria's Secret in that round, because I think they got a little bit too comfortable with their lead. They started pushing in without the proper information. They didn't set up those big flanks, those big crossfires that we saw in the first 3 rounds before they went in. They just sort of jumped the gun. They didn't prepare. And the only thing I can think of, seeing as they actually did really well at those things during the first 3 rounds, is just getting too comfortable with their lead. You can't underestimate the fact that a lot of times you win these rounds off of really good team play and strategy. But when it comes to straight up gunfights, especially if you're peeking a corner challenging Marmalade, who has been known to be this really good fragger, this really good Jaeger, who can get those multi-kills, then you might put yourself in a situation that is pretty unfavorable like that. You lose 2 people off the bat, and then everyone else just starts dropping like flies because you suddenly don't have enough people to set up those angles. And so I think Victoria's Secret, they need to just pull back a little bit, go back to their strategies, and I think that'll be enough to get them the victory.
I think so too. It is still a lot of siege left to be played, only a 2-round differential. It's 1st to 7. If there's a tie at 6-6, we go into a best of 3 overtime. So a maximum of 15 rounds available, and of course, no ties here on CCS R6W. Round number 5 gets underway. 8K will have 2 opportunities left to defend. Of course, most will consider Cafe to be a very favorable map for the defenders, right? A not necessarily easy to defend map, but a much higher than 50%, and I shouldn't say much higher, it's not like 75% defenders, but it is higher than a lot of the other maps available at play. So winning your defenses on a defender-sided map is very important just to kind of get the ball rolling. So when you do flip over to attack, you can try, or you have more mistakes to make, right? If you end your half on defense with more wins than losses, or even just a tie, right? Now you can lose that many rounds as an attacking squad on a defender-heavy map. And, even if the defense wins up top, which is the most preferable site, then you can force them to make mistakes, and it'll be harder to defend those sites downstairs. But here we go, minute off the board now. And not a lot of action so far, but Victoria's Secret, you've seen every single round, they've kind of gotten into the map, into sight, or at least into, above or around the site a lot quicker, round after round after round. Little Lexi kind of knocking the railing down, holding an angle towards mining to catch any of the roamers, which have been a thorn in their side the last round, off guard. But Breezy, a beautiful shot on Anini, and that's one of the roamers down. Minute and a half wasted off the board. Marmalade up top. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure how long she's been up there, but I think a lot of Victoria's Secret were up top as well. So I'm not sure if she's just kind of holding, waiting, or if she did some sort of late rotate up White Stairs. Either way, she's up there, waiting to take on an engagement. Zerkit sees the ceiling above her getting opened up. C4 almost primed and ready to go.
She's finally deciding to move out of the freezer now, going for a very late flank, and this one might actually pay off because there's no way that Victorious will be expecting this. They didn't drone her out at all. They kind of just ran through the top floor without even checking freezer, and there's the first kill. Marmalade's going to get one. Little Lexi goes down, and now they know where Marmalade is. But is that going to matter? Because nobody is up there to refrag. They assumed the top floor was clear. They probably have eyes on all the stairs, so as long as nobody calls it out, no one's going to expect that anyone would be on the top floor. So now, Victorious are on the back foot. They have to watch out for Marmalade. They are sort of confused as to where everyone on 8K is, and that is exactly the kind of situation that the defenders want to be in. So this might actually be another round going to 8K from just a really smart, really late flank by Marmalade.
Yeah, and Marmalade playing the hatch, kind of looking down towards Train, which is where Buck was set up last time. We'll see Buck set up there now as well. I'm not sure where the Jaeger has gone since, but a wall will get opened up, and Sketchopotamus from that hole that we were just talking about, that'll actually be a dining. We'll find Monster Girl, somebody who's kind of been the last left alive, but Marmalade ready to fight right back. We'll find Sketchopotamus, and oh no, Breezy with a TK is shy, finds one onto Breezy, and just like that, Victoria's Secret, for being up, will now go down to a 3v1. No time left. Rachel Boo and the F2 will not be enough this time around, and 8K bring it 1 round back, only a 1-round difference between these two teams.
I already talked about it, of course, but MVP of that round's definitely Marmalade for just the late flank. Not only, it's super important that I make sure that it's known that it's not only the fact that she got the kill there, but the way she got it, the way that it made Victorious question where the positions were, or how they managed to get upstairs, or why didn't you drone out Freezer? There's so many questions that could be running through their minds at that point. It absolutely slowed them down. We saw, I think it was Rachel Boo, she was starting to move back up the stairs because she needed to try to weed out these defenders before attacking the site. And overall, just a very good, very heads-up play there. And unfortunately for 8K, I don't think that's a mistake that Victorious are going to make again. I think they're going to be a lot more thorough with their droning, because losing a round like that is not a way that you want to lose a round.
Yeah. Some information about the skins. I think the only, and I could be wrong on this, so we'll get admin. The only skins that I know for sure are banned are the Ember Rise skins. Were banned after 3 or 4 weeks of play, based on player feedback. I'm not sure if anything else is actually banned, but thankfully we have 2 beautiful NA admins on standby to answer said question. So we will get the answer for that for you post-haste. And I hope that's not the case, because we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do if somebody has been bringing it out thus far. But either way, like I said, I don't think that's the case, but I don't want to be the one to make that call. All I can do is speculate. So here we go into round number 6. We'll play on until we hear otherwise. And Zerkit up top this time. We've, in the past, seen Nini and Marmalade on the roam, but now we'll see Zerkit taking that position.
And, of course, we saw both the 3rd floor and the 1st floor sites go in favor of 8K back-to-back, which means that they're forced to go to a 2nd floor site, and it's going to be reading. So here, I think it probably benefits their roam play the least out of the sites. But again, they are forced to do it. So we will see what Marmalade can do, whether or not she's got any big tricks up her sleeve for this sort of site. It looks like a freezer play once again, but as I said before, I don't think Victorious are going to fall for that twice in a row. So hopefully they end up droning out this position, and Marmalade's not going to get too much off of that play. Meanwhile, over here, Nini Ren, we see pretty much every goo mine lined up in Cigar Hallway. So I think it's a very interesting play, because you can definitely stack a lot of damage on anyone who decides to run through there. And it's actually going to peek out. Sketchopotamus not finding the head at first, but the second volley of bullets will manage to do it. Nini Ren goes down. Marmalade finds another kill onto Little Lexi, as it's down to a 3v4 in favor of 8K this time. And so with 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, it's a pretty good situation, but that one Brit has something to say about it as she gets a headshot onto Monster Girl. Now, we see Marmalade getting ready for potentially another flank. I don't think any attackers are left upstairs. Actually, Sketchopotamus is. But she's just going to cover her own back. There's one drone watching the flank, and she's got her own gun staring down the other entrance to Piano. So she can be pretty safe up there, and probably move out to play the vertical game as soon as possible. Breezy's going to fire a volley of shots. It takes down Shy, but it's not going to kill her quite yet.
No, it's not. 8K still firing back and forth.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Marmalade is going once again for another late rotation. It's not going to be enough, however, as Sketchopotamus is looking right down that hallway. Flashbang grenade goes out, and Zerkit can't actually contest the defuse. The plant goes down, and now we're in a retake situation for the defenders. And Shy just got taken back up, so she's at about 5 health, and now Zerkit, is there anything she can do? Everyone's lying prone, so the pre-fires are not going to get anyone. The one Brit takes out Shy, and now Zerkit, last-ditch effort, anything she could possibly do. Shots missed all across the board, but there is a wall in the way, and finally a flank around the corner. Sketchopotamus takes her out, and that is Victorious, taking it 4-2 on, like you said, a defender-sided map.
No, Ted, just hold off on that while we're waiting for the ruling, because he said he thinks. So hopefully he didn't send that message in chat, because we are still getting it confirmed by the admins right now.
There is a slight delay as well, so
yeah,
he might not hear it.
I was just trying to beat him to the punch. We're still waiting on feedback by that. I'm sure Victoria's Secret won't want to redo that round anyway. And that'll be it for 8K on defense also. So we'll flip roles, rather, and we'll have Victoria's Secret take the defense on, and we'll see a Maestro from Victoria's Secret. Something we didn't see from 8K is they had kind of a more roaming focus setup.
Yeah, they definitely did. And we saw an entire defense go by on Cafe with Maestro unbanned without ever seeing a Maestro, and that's definitely questionable for me. We already talked about it at the beginning, but again, Maestro just brings so many amazing tools, especially to a map with long sightlines such as Cafe. Maestro can do so much work, and so I'm really glad to see that Victorious are deciding to take it. And that is a pretty good change between the shotgun, the Alda, the Evil Eyes, information gathering, even have some deny on those Evil Eyes. So just something to keep in mind if you are to play some pub games and you see that no one takes a Maestro on a map like this when it's unbanned. So looking toward how they're setting up their defense, it seems pretty standard in general. You know, they're putting a lot of resources toward the freezer here. And a Kaid on the board instead of a Bandit gives them a little bit of extra like hatch denial, which is pretty important when you're on the lower floors. So we'll see how they utilize all of the tools at their disposal. Mozzie, of course, on the board. Mozzie has been growing in popularity, and part of me is wondering why he didn't start out super popular, because he's just got such a great kit.
Well,
He's
I'll
got
tell
a
you,
secondary shotgun. He's got information denial. He can get information if he finds the drone and shoots a pest at it.
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you why. I think that, you know, once, and this happens a lot with new operators when they get rolled in, once they see how the pros play them, you know, everybody else is like, oh, that's a good idea. And little Lexi will get the opening kill. What a shot! Taking the head off of Marmalade, the top fragger for 8K, and a disastrous loss to lose your entry fragger not even a minute into the round. And it looks like angles are being held. 8K is being stalled out completely by Lexi just holding an angle and winning that perfect gun battle. Now 8K will be forced to run around, and of course we have the hard breach in tow. We got the Thermite, who you absolutely have to keep alive, so no use trying to peek anybody. And right, of course, right as I say that, they'll be going around the doorway, peeking, just clearing it out, making sure that they can press up if needed. And Victoria's Secret not doing a lot right now as far as being being in motion, but they're not really having to. They've kind of got everything locked down, all the angles covered, and if people nearby, Rachel Boo from the corner, no intel, will catch Monster Girl, putting that Thermite charge up on the wall, and basically isolating the diffuser. That one, Britt, she'll find one onto Shy, and just 8K not having a great start here on attack.
Yeah, they're on attack, but they haven't really been able to get a footing. I don't think anyone's really stepped foot into anywhere near the site. The closest we got was the Thermite trying to put a charge on the wall. But overall, they just haven't been able to find these angles, and Victorious have been doing a pretty good job of keeping themselves unpredictable and popping out at random times from seemingly random angles. So we have a little bit of information here as Circuit knows someone's in here, going to peek the corner so slowly. That's going to get free shots to the defenders, and that one Brit actually takes them both down. Flawless round for Victoria's Secret, not losing a single person. Let's watch this kill cam.
Yeah, she gets the multi-kill and then rocks the C key down the hallway, doing a little bit of a boogie. And I tell you what, you know, Britt not having the best attacking side from a kill perspective, but, you know, she's the Thermite, and she is the dedicated planter. So it is her job to get the walls open, kind of stay back and be protected and let the entry fraggers do their job, clear a path, go in and plant. And she did that well. She, you know, I would venture to say that Britt probably has one of the most successful diffuse records in all the league, which unfortunately, you know, doesn't get reflected in the kills, you know, when that's your job. But she'll flip around with the Alda on defense, and she'll start showing everybody that she's got what it takes to get the frags down, too. And she'll do just that. Victoria's Secret looking very, very strong now. Up 5-2. 8K Gaming have a lot of work to do in order to mount a comeback. Of course, that's only their first attack. So, can they find a little bit more success here on attack? That remains to be seen, of course. And it looks like, I'm not sure what we're doing. I think we're going to go ahead and stop to address the Valk Elite skin being brought out, and that's exactly what we'll do. So, ladies and gentlemen, we did get confirmation. Victoria's Secret earlier called that the Valk Elite skin was being used, and it was indeed. So we'll bring it back to our faces as Iraqis. Just heads up. Get ready for that. So we'll do that indeed. Hopefully your camera is the right size. It is. Skype didn't mess us up this time. Perfect. So basically, to recap what happened is Victoria's Secret said, hey, somebody's bringing the Valk Elite skin. I don't think that's allowed. None of us were sure on the production crew what the rule was exactly, so we brought in the admin. We have like an admin kind of overseeing each match and to make the official call. So we just made absolutely sure. Our rule book is like, gosh, I want to say it's like 30 pages long. So it's kind of hard for anybody to have the whole thing memorized. So we just double checked, and it is indeed banned. So they're going to get that sorted out with Victoria's Secret on what they want to do. Of course, the round that it was called, I believe Victoria's Secret actually won that round anyway. And I'm not even sure if the Elite was brought out that time. Either way, that's not in our wheelhouse to sort out. That's up to the admins, and they will do just that. That being said, you know, if I'm Victoria's Secret, I'm not sure if it's a forced rehost. I think it is. But if I'm Victoria's Secret, whether or not the other team used the Elite skin or not, I mean, if I'm up 5-2 and now I'm on the preferred side, right? I'm on defense on Cafe. I just won what a lot would consider to be an offsite down in the first floor. You know, I'm up 5-2. I got a lot of buffer room anyway. There's no way the other team can bring that Elite skin. I might want to play on, but again, the rules kind of force a rehost. So I guess that point's kind of moot. What do you think, Az?
Yeah, it's always interesting to talk about momentum because it affects every team differently. So when you're having that momentum, having a break like this might not be the best thing. A lot of times teams really get emotional, get into it, get happy, get hyped when they get a bunch of back-to-back victories.
Right.
But when you have something like this, it's time where everyone's pretty much forced to calm down because basically nothing's happening for like 5 minutes. So it could potentially backfire. However, I think looking back through the match so far, I think Victoria's Secret they basically had 8K's number on this one. There are so many situations where Victorious was catching out a member of 8K or getting a brilliant refrag, taking the headshot duels, getting multi-kills. I think Victorious are pretty much on point today. One of the rounds that they lost, again, I was talking about it earlier, but I think they got overconfident in their lead. And so that's something that I don't see happening again to them because after that, they were able to refocus. 8K won one more round, but it was mostly off of the back of, as we were watching, Marmalade with a beautiful late flank, like late roamer play that really caught Victorious off guard. And again, I mentioned it earlier, I don't think Victorious are going to fall victim to something like that again. And well, they also can't because they're the ones on defense now. But overall, it seems like Victorious's game.
It does. And so, you know, it's one of those things that we have to figure out the rule situation here. I think what is going to end up happening, and don't quote me on this because, again, I'm not an admin, right? I'm just I'm on the production side of things, so I don't write the rules. I don't enforce the rules. I don't make the rules. I think what's going to happen is just thankfully, like, we're a community league, and we're not talking about, you know, this isn't like pro league money on the line and stuff like that. So, you know, we have the opportunity to kind of add a little bit of fluidity to how we handle these situations. So I think what we'll end up doing, and I could be totally wrong here, but I think that what we'll end up doing is kind of asking Victoria's Secret, like, how do you want to proceed? Because they're the ones that called it, and 8K were the ones that violated the rule. And of course, at the end of the day, it is a leak. So it looks like we're not going to backpedal and do any changes. It looks like just a warning is going to be issued from what I'm understanding right now, and then we play on.
Yeah, and again, we were talking about momentum earlier, and just a warning might be something that doesn't really help the momentum situation. But again, I also don't quite know how both of these teams handle momentum. What we've been talking about, or at least what I've been talking about, just doesn't affect some teams. Some teams just have their mindset, and they just play with that mindset that entire time, and they never falter if momentum swings in the other team's favor. So unfortunately, I haven't really been able to watch too many of these matches in the past couple weeks due to, again, moving and complications with moving, and then it took longer than I thought, and then I stayed at a hotel for a very long time, and it's just
Fun.
yeah.
So we're still getting it sorted out. It's an interesting predicament because not only was, so the skin is banned, right? The Valk Elite, but the problem with it is it wasn't realized by anybody until way after it was first brought out, and then so it was brought out at the end of round 5. Okay, I think end of round 5. And round 6 was played, but there was no Valk Elite in that round, so I think there's a little bit of discussion here. But like I said, I think we're going to defer to what Victoria's Secret says they want to do because they are the ones that, had to play against the banned skin. So we'll wait and see what happens here. But that is being discussed as we speak, and we'll get right back into the action. I'll tell you what, while we're waiting here, for those of you that are hanging out waiting for us, waiting for the game to get back underway, here is the schedule for the rest of the evening. And we'll put that up on your screen right now. So right now we're looking at 8K versus Victoria's Secret before the rule violation, which for sure we had 5 rounds in the bank. It was 3-2. And so here's the thing that stinks about that. If we have to default back based on admin decisions to, this could be huge, by the way. If we have to default back to the start of round number 6 when it was first called, it's going to be disastrous because now we're back at 3-2, right? So Victoria's Secret actually will end up shooting themselves in the foot for calling it out, which is no fault of their own. It is banned. They're right. We just had to, we played on because we were getting in contact, making decisions, something like that. And the rule, when it was found out what the rule to be, that it was, stop the play and let's figure it out. And so, an unfortunate situation for them if it plays out that way. Because of course, when we allowed them to play on, I think it ended up being 5-2, right? It was that even though the score line when the rehost was 6-2, if I didn't change the screen away, it was actually 5-2. So Victoria's Secret was able to win their first 2 defenses, quite convincingly, if I might add. So again, we'll wait to see what the exact, thing, or what happens exactly, I should say. And when we do find that out, we will then push forward.
Yeah. It hopefully Victoria's Secret don't end up with that sort of shooting themselves.
So here's what happened, and it's kind of what I talked about. So again, Victoria's Secret were not the ones that violated the rule. They called it out. We allowed them to play on. The skin was not brought out after the fact, so we kind of left it up to Victoria's Secret what they wanted to do. They took the obvious choice, like let's not revert the last 2 rounds that we won. And so we're going to play on right where we're at. And then, of course, 8K has issued a warning. There's stuff in our rule book that, what to do with a certain number of violations, et cetera, et cetera. So the first one's a warning, and we will begin right where we left off. Victoria's Secret 5-2, still on defense. And round number 8 will be the first round. We also have all the players back in, so we're going to get the rehost setting set up, and we'll get right into the match immediately. Thank you, folks, for sticking with us here. Azraki, what is 8K going to have to do? They have not had a good attack so far. What are they going to have to do to turn that around, do you think?
Yeah, so far, a lot of it actually came down to Victorious being really aggressive toward the beginning of the round, even on defense. Like, we saw someone contest the garage portion of the map, and it was very effective, I gotta say. So a lot of it comes down to 8K basically playing back even further, making sure... I think even a lot of it comes down to before the round even starts in the prep phase, because obviously the defenders have a lot to do during the prep phase, but you can't underestimate the attackers, the importance of the prep phase on the attackers, because that's when you can get the drones into those positions where you can make sure that you have a safe entry into the building. So far, Victorious have been denying all semblance of safe entry for 8K Gaming, and that's the biggest switch that I want to see made from 8K. I want to see them focus their drones around half of the bottom floor or half of a portion of the map where they want to enter in and take over it.
I believe right before we started, we had a crash, and then they got back into the game. So yeah, we're going to have to rehost again. So the shortest blip into the game will come right back to us, Azaraki. As we'll focus on a little bit more filler for you folks out there while we get the lobby set back up. Good old Rainbow Six Siege. I'll tell you what, back in the day, CCS Season 1, this was like prior to, like in-game rehosting tools. So if we rehosted, it was a nightmare. Not only do we have to put, it's actually round 5 and change that graphic every time, kind of on top of everything, and keep up with it. Right.
The in-game.
But if we got into overtime, we'd actually have to leave and rehost again to get a fair roll on OT. Anyway, we would actually come off and do a coin flip off stream to decide who got what in OT. So it was interesting. So they've made a lot of strides. I'm going to give it to Ubisoft. They've made a lot of strides. There have been a lot less rehosts in the modern era, but they have certainly not been eliminated yet.
Absolutely not. And I do hear... So one thing I want to ask is, do people know me for my casting as much as they know me for my hat? Or am I basically just my hat?
You're just a hat. In my book. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm getting from everyone is that, like, oh, he doesn't have his hat this time. Oh, he has his hat this time.
Listen. The legend of the Azaraki hat is, basically it's just that. It's a legend at this point in time, right? So there's nothing you can do about it. Just, if you don't wear the hat, people will be mad. If you wear the hat, people will be mad. You can't make everybody happy. The sooner you realize that, the happier you're going to be as Rocky. Heck, he might take the hat off.
Mad.
He might take the hat off for match number 2, put it back on for match number 3. We don't know.
Yeah, I did that once.
You're just gonna have to stay tuned in.
Or will I?
Or will he?
If you leave them on that cliffhanger, then I have to leave them on that cliffhanger too. But I'm probably not gonna take it off.
Yeah, I know. I'm not taking mine off. My hair ain't combed under here, and it's very gray. Embarrassingly gray. So for you just joining us, what's going on? We're just doing a rehost real quick on our first match of the evening. We can have a look at the schedule right quick. Yet again, 8K versus Victoria's Secret. Currently, Victoria's Secret up 5-2 as we do the rehost. Team Sinister Red, Slaughterhouse coming up next. Following that, Disrupt Gaming taking on Powerhouse Mischief. And finally, rounding out the night, Axios Esports taking on Queen YOLO Mid. You can also see popping up on your screen right now the standings of all of these teams as we come into week number 7. So this is a through 6 weeks sort of deal here. Artemis, the only undefeated team, I believe, in both regions. Not just North America, but in both regions. Everybody else, very close scoreline. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then no 5, straight skip all the way to 6 for Artemis. So, this is a kind of a league where, and I talked about this at the beginning, that there's no qualification process. Like, it was kind of like a first come, first serve. At the signups, we had a really positive. We got a little bit overwhelmed. We got a lot more signups than we thought. Yeah, so we basically added 2 additional spots. It was originally supposed to be 8 spots in the league. And so we added 2 more spots because we thought we could handle it, and which we did. And so to see such a, it's not super lopsided in any one direction. To see like the spread is really nice. And of course, there's no teams that are winless either in North America. So, it's been a pretty darn good season for getting to, they're getting this far into the season with teams that weren't able to compete against each other in some sort of a qualifier. To see it be this close spread throughout the game. But it looks like we got 10 players back. So fingers crossed that we don't crash, and we're going to get this puppy started. Still 5-2 in Victoria's Secret's favor, rather. Sometimes my mouth moves a little faster than my brain.
All right. We're going to hope for no crashes. We're at least hoping
no
to
whammies.
beat our last record.
No whammies.
And I think we've done it. I think we beat our last record of how long we went before a crash. So already off to a better start than the last time we had to rehost.
Yes, we did. Yes. But, knock on wood after you say that. Once we get past the rehost window, which you can go through the entire prep phase, and then I'm not sure if it's 15 or 25 or 30 seconds. It's one of those 3 into the action phase. Or it might even be 45 seconds now that I think about it. So it's less than a minute into the action phase.
41, just to take a random number.
No, because then nobody would remember it. Not just old Titangles.
Well, wouldn't that make it more likely to be remembered? Like, why is it this number? Why is it 41?
I don't know.
I would remember that.
I don't know. No comment. Here we go. Round number 8 coming up. Victoria's Secret so far perfect on defense since the half. And do we back up 2? No, we only back. Well, so the half came at 3. Did we play a second? Did we play a second defensive round from Victoria's Secret? Because so far they've only played 1 defensive round then, right? 4, 5, yeah, they've only played 1 defensive round.
We hosted like in the middle of their second defensive round.
Right, like during the prep phase, I don't think we got too deep into it. So,
This game likes 0 seconds.
What's going on? I wonder. Nobody has dipped out, but there could possibly be a crash.
Yeah,
so see, this is why I told you.
At the top is frozen. I did knock on.
This is why I told you don't jinx it. Oh. Here we go. Everybody's still in the game. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief. And my producer in chat telling me that Ubisoft needs to switch to SSDs on their servers, and I do not disagree with that sentiment. Victoria's
Secret. Making sure the fees are lined up. You want to give me a quick countdown?
Yeah, I'm at 23, 2, 1, 0.
All right.
So dial in the needle.
A little bit out of sync, but we should be good now.
That's all right. Different sides of the country. Need to do this from a studio here in the future, right? So here we go. Round number 8. Victoria's Secret going upstairs. We're able to win the kitchen defense downstairs, and a lot of utility being deployed up top. We got an interesting lineup here. We do see that the Maestro is being brought out. We saw one Brit with, what was it, a 4K? I know it was at least a 3K. Was it a 4K?
But I can't quite remember, so don't.
Yeah, at least 3, possibly 4. Either way, just absolutely stepping up to the plate with the Alda, running down the hallway and mowing people down. A lot different of a setup from Victoria's Secret on defense that we saw from 8K Gaming. Again, Victoria's Secret so far perfect on defense, but they've only had 1 round to do that in thus yet. 8K need to step it up right now in order to try and get back into this, because it was a pretty close start. After the first 5 rounds, it was 2-3. It's just those 2 rounds in a row by Victoria's Secret kind of put them a little bit further into the lead. And so here we go. About a minute off the board as 8K taking their time, getting into sight, doing a lot of drone work. We talked about this in the past about like how when you drone, like how actionable is the intel that you get from the drones. So there's kind of 2 separate droning phases, right? You want to kind of get the intel, like where's all the utility deployed, right? And then the second one, as you push, getting intel that you can use. Where are people at? I guess would be the second stage of that.
Yeah, and it's important to know where people are at, and even in there's a little bit of a mind game, because if your drone's spotted, then you're pretty sure that whoever you spot is going to be rotating out and trying to reposition themselves so that they don't get pre-fired. But if they don't spot your drone, then you might be able to get a free kill off of that. So it's a very back and forth style of game that the attackers and the defenders play when it comes to droning. So Miniran actually takes that was I think it was captured by the by
yes.
The
Not only that, but trying to go after the exothermic charge, which I think they got, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't actually see that.
I think Thermite only had 1 in the pocket. So if that was the case, then what a job by Mozzie. He's actually playing downstairs, prepped and ready to go for a late rotate. The rest of the squad upstairs, Victoria's Secret. I mean, that's kind of how they played the last defense.
Yeah,
they were all just kind of static, and they were able to cut off any of the rotates that, or basically cut off any spots that 8K was able to come in through. And because of that, they were able to dismantle 8K on their first attack.
Yeah, so that was actually the second exothermic charge. So they did manage to get the first one with that captured Twitch drone. So pretty big play there. Little Lexi's going to get the first shot. Headshot on Marmalade. Again, that's the big fragger on the side of 8K. So now they have to be pretty much on the back foot here, as they have taken control of Piano, but they haven't really been able to push much beyond that. And Rachel is waiting for sound cues. As soon as she hears someone turn their back, she can rush out with such a powerful shotgun. Just Breezy's going to do it first, however, as Zerka gets another kill on top of that, and Rachel Boo refrags Nini Ren. 3 seconds left on the clock. There is no time for the attackers to play, and we're just going to see time run out, as 8K just took way too long after they got their exothermic charge destroyed. I think by the time they got control of Piano, the fact that they didn't have an exothermic charge meant they couldn't break in to the storage room. And at that point, they were just kind of questioning what their new strategy would be.
Yep. not a fun situation to be in, at the time ticking away, et cetera, et cetera. Lexi getting the opening kill. We've seen a lot of the Lexi Marmalade gun battles go off, and it's usually kind of the first gun battle we see of each round. One of those two goes down. They somehow seem to find each other each round, which is interesting, to say the least. Two really big-time gunners for each of these teams, and we've seen them both win out said fight. But here we go. Match point now for Victoria's Secret, looking very, very, very strong. 8K really haven't been getting completely dismantled, but at the same time, Victoria's Secret typically, has a couple of people left on the board when they find that final kill, which if you could set up a crossfire, in a 1v2, 1v3 situation, you can lose a person, right? You have that luxury. You lose a person, still win the round, and Victoria's Secret have taken those opportunities and used them to their advantage, and they're looking very good. 8K, not looking terrible by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that Victoria's Secret has just been looking really, really good the entire time through.
There's one thing I want to mention about the last round that I almost forgot to talk about. But when we saw the Twitch drone take out the first exothermic charge, she still put the second exothermic charge in the red stairway, at the top of the red stairway leading into piano. But as soon as that happened, our observer switched to someone who was already in piano on the attacker side. And there were two people in piano already. So there was almost no need to put down that exothermic charge, and you could have actually saved it to get into storage.
True.
Which was the crux of their plan. So I think that was a pretty big misplay by 8K Gaming, and I almost forgot to mention it.
Yeah, I now that you say that, I do remember the IQ, very early on, getting piano
Yeah, she was already in there.
But that being said, if you're the thermite and the time is ticking, and you've already dropped, now you have to go all the way down the stairs, which hasn't been droned out. So that takes two people away from progressing into the map. To get down the stairs, out the window, zipped up, and then into the window in piano. That's a big time waste. It's about a 20-second time waste if done right. Unless you're risking your life and risking losing the second one as well. So either way, it's some give and take. I'm glad I don't have to make the decision. We'll go with that. Just Breezy playing very tight in piano up against a window. I'm not sure if they had the intel, and of course, right as soon as I say that, she will get pinged out, and that window next to her will get open. There's nobody nearby on rappel to hit that angle, but we'll see somebody drop from red, and Just Breezy will be ready for it. She'll get stunned, but as that stun was flying in her direction, she gets the headshot down onto the buck. She'll get the second stun from the Zofia Marmalade, rappelling upside down from the window. Breezy hears it, is just flat up against the wall. Now would be the opportunity perhaps for somebody to peek in from the other side, but just not the intel, I don't think, coming in from 8K to make the move. And Breezy is single-handedly stalling out all of 8K and wasting tons of time. We do have people on either side of her, but neither of them able to find that angle. She's just so tucked away. She'll do a very easy turnaround, find Zerkit too. 2 kills for her. She's taking on the entire team, finally forced out. Monster Girl will take her down, but a very heavy price they will pay to get her off of that window.
Yeah, 2 deaths and 2 minutes off of the board for the side of XK or 8K. They are not in a very good situation here, especially on the attacker side. The only map control they've gotten so far is piano. They haven't even taken out the rest of the top floor. And speaking of, Sketchopotamus is going to peek around the corner, get a down, but won't be able to finish the kill. Peeks around the corner once again. Monster Girl debating on whether or not she should revive, but they don't actually go for it. Sketchopotamus! What are they doing? Nobody's watching the stairs? Sketchopotamus peeked up there twice. You can't go for the revive in that situation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sketchopotamus did everything right. 8K did everything wrong in that situation, and that capped off a Victoria's Secret win there. And, yeah, not a whole lot to say about that play in particular, but that certainly wasn't indicative of the match as a whole. 8K did a lot right. They just couldn't get things going to take the round wins in the end. Victoria's Secret will stay true to their name and find victory here against 8K. And, they said, I told you, the pre-map interview, as we, move the camera back on us. That pre-match interview, Britt was like, listen, we're in a 3-way tie for second place right now. And by the end of this, we're going to prove that we belong in second and we're going to get there. And, a 7-2 scoreline when rounds are kind of the tiebreaker, that's exactly what you have to do in order to do that. So Victoria's Secret, a very well-played game from them. 8K, also well-played. They had the confidence going in against Victoria's Secret having the intel on Cafe, but like we talked about also prior to the match, saying, you know, in that interview that I had with Britt, is saying that, listen, we don't put a lot of stock into our strategy. We just kind of do whatever feels right in the moment, and that might have been the key that caught 8K off guard after doing a lot of specific prep work, not seeing what they expected to see from Victoria's Secret on Cafe. But that will do it for game number 1. We started a little bit late, so we're going to hop right into a break, a short break, of course, and then after that, we will hop into match number 2 of the evening. So make sure you stick around, and we'll be right back.